Happening now, we hear from the Chautauqua County District Attorney and his reaction to the manhunt for Michael Burham. And the Jamestown Fire Department is finally getting a second ambulance, in addition to much needed gear. Plus, Jamestown lawmakers are vying to give code enforcement officers the authority to give violation tickets.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
Thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Bronson Rasmussen. Those stories and more are coming up, but first, Jamestown felon Michael Burham led police on yet another manhunt after escaping from a Warren County jail earlier in the month. Now, Burham is being held in Erie County Prison to face charges in Pennsylvania, while officials in New York State are still collecting evidence. Our Alyssa Wright has more.
We had coordinated with Pennsylvania so that they would go first, so that Mr. Burham remained in custody while we developed our case. About 11 days ago, I think, or 12 days ago, Mr. Burham, who was being held in the Warren County jail, had escaped, and which was caught all of us off guard and by surprise. You know, it's not something that we would ever expect to happen, but nevertheless, it did happen. And fortunately, he was just taken back into custody Saturday evening, this past Saturday, and thankfully it was without any violence. There was no bloodshed. Everybody is safe.
So far, Burham has not been formally charged.
You know, I only know what everybody else knows, you know, that he seemed to, you know, access the roof area through, you know, whatever recreation equipment was available, maybe a pull-up bar or something like that. It's a little shocking to us that something like that could occur, and at that time of day, which was, you know, very late in the day. So it's hard for me to speak about it because honestly, you know, it's outside of our jurisdiction. So we would leave it to Warren County to explain that further.
The exact details of Burham's escape have not yet been released.
Well, look, we haven't charged anything yet, but we certainly are focused on the Kayla's homicide. So that would give rise on the face of things to a murder in the second degree charge, which is a charge that's appropriate when someone intentionally causes the death of another person. And that's the charge that we are focused on. He is our primary suspect here. You know, we're not dealing with a charge that we take very lightly. I'd rather go forward, you know, with all my evidence, you know, intact, and that's why we're very deliberate and mindful about how we proceed here. We want to be smart. You know, we only get one shot at this, and we're going to be very careful about when we level that shot.
In the end, Schmidt is hoping to see the end of the case soon.
We don't have a lot of resources here in Chautauqua County. We don't have our own crime lab. We're a modest community, so we rely on the services of New York State Police. They've been terrific, but because that's outside of our control, it's hard to anticipate, but I'm predicting that I'll be in grand jury on this case within about a month.
WNY News Now will continue to provide updates as they become available. Alyssa Wright, WNY News Now.
Alyssa, thank you. In other news, a Monday afternoon pickup truck versus lawnmower accident has led to one dead in the town of Portland. Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office responded to an accident involving a lawnmower at a Barnes Road address near Prospect Station Road at 12:04 p.m. on July 17th. Upon investigation, officers determined that the riding lawnmower's operator drove onto the road and straight into the path of a pickup truck that was towing a trailer. Now, the truck's driver tried to stop and miss the mower, but unfortunately was not able to do so. The mower's driver sustained serious injuries and was taken to a local hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries. Now, currently, the names of those involved are being withheld until family members are properly notified. The Jamestown Fire Department is seeking a plethora of new equipment, including a long-awaited second ambulance. Jamestown lawmakers heard multiple resolutions to enhance the local firefighting crews, including the hiring of 5 new firefighters whose positions were created earlier in the year. Councilman Jeff Russell asked the fire chief if he had trouble finding qualified candidates. Now, the chief did respond by saying, "Not with this batch of 5, but the 8 FEMA grant personnel might be difficult to hire due to the lack of EMS training in the candidates. Now, while this would not be a problem, they would need to attend the academy for an extra few weeks to become certified. The fire department would also receive much needed radios and bailout equipment paid for by a grant.
We don't have any interoperability right now with outside agencies. When mutual aid comes in, we cannot talk to them from the fairgrounds. We have to go through dispatch to relate to do that. The radios that we would be acquiring are similar to the ones that JPD has recently acquired. They will access our system. They will also access the county's trucking system, so we'll be able to have that interoperability from the fairground or any incident that we're doing where there's people outside of the vehicles.
And the radios you're using now are not really meant to be in the fire atmosphere, are they? I mean, they're not.
Correct. They generally are pretty rugged, but
Yeah.
if you were to try to change the channels or turn the volume up or down or hit the emergency button on them, you would have to take your gloves off to do that, which
Right.
is one of the number one things you don't want to do in a hot environment.
Chief Kuhn also stated that the bid for a second ambulance came back for $217,741. Now, this model, similar to the current city ambulance, also includes a load system and a stretcher, saving the city an extra $50,000. Now, once the city gets the vehicle, they would need to then add striping, extra tires, and radios. The chief expects the new ambulance to be in the Pearl City at around fall. Now, all ordinances did pass the Public Safety and Finance Committees. In other news, a boil water and conservation order for water customers has been issued in the village of Brockton and town of Portland. Now, Monday, July 17th, several main water routes broke, causing low water pressure in areas throughout Brockton and Portland, with some places with no water at all. Low pressure water increases the likelihood for water to pass through untreated and makes it possible for harmful material to get into the system. Now, while the water district staff work to repair the breaks, customers in the village of Brockton and in parts of Portland, south of I-90, should boil all water used for consuming purposes in order to kill any bacteria. Any water for drinking, cooking, brushing teeth, and ice and coffee making should be boiled for at least 1 minute, then cooled before use. Once repairs have been made, water district staff will clean the system and collect samples to confirm that the water is safe before announcing the end of the boil and conservation orders. Now, the Chautauqua County Health Department is requesting that all affected customers reduce their water usage by around 50% during this time. For more information, be sure to contact Chautauqua County Health Department at 716-753-4481. While Jamestown lawmakers are vying to give authority to code enforcement officers to write tickets for violations. The goal for the Department of Development is to lessen the amount of foot traffic in the housing court. Now, the proposed law would give authority to code enforcement officers, the fire inspector, and any authoritative position in the city to write tickets for nuisance code violations. Those include excess plant growth, junk and debris laying around, unregistered vehicles and lawns, and non-cooking fires in city limits. If someone does receive a ticket within 48 hours, it may be dismissed if a violation was corrected. If it is not in the allocated time frame, the city can then clean the area up themselves and invoice the offender. Now, if a violator receives multiple fines, the cost will multiply for each ticketed violation. There are also protections in place for landlords and tenants to make sure the offender is the one facing criminal prosecution. Now, the ultimate goal, according to the Department of Development, is to have lesser violators receive the tickets, making way for important violations to see the courtroom.
What this will do is allow us, similar to what we've been able to see with the nuisance officer, where he can directly ticket for nuisance quality of life type items. This will allow code enforcement to issue a ticket immediately upon inspection.
The version right now is only a draft. After comments from the City Council and review from the Corporation Council, the full law should be ready to be implemented by the end of the month. Well, switching gears a little bit, we'll get a check of our first weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Andrew Stevenson. And I heard we're still talking about smoke.
Yeah, but the smoke is getting better, but we still have an air quality alert for portions of the region, not including Chautauqua and Cattaraugus County, actually Allegheny County and portions off to our east, as well as Warren and McKean County and Pennsylvania are under an air quality alert, and that will go to midnight tonight. But cold front is in the process of moving through the region, and that's going to kind of clean out the air and push that smoke off to the east. So let's take a look at that on the HRRR smoke model as we head into the day tomorrow. As you can see, most of the country, other than portions off to our east, will be seeing better smoke quality, better air quality as we head into tomorrow. Back here across western New York, we should have blue skies tomorrow as the smoke pushes off to the east. First defense Doppler radar, that cold front is in the process of moving through the region. We have some showers and a couple of thunderstorms popping up off to our east. Most of the region back here across western New York will end up dry through the afternoon as that cold front pushes through, although portions of central and eastern New York will be dealing with some severe thunderstorms later this afternoon, but we will not have to deal with any of that. Taking a look at the almanac, we made it to a high of 77 degrees yesterday in the city of Jamestown. Our low was 61, and the records for the day, 93 was the record high set back in 1931, record low of 43 set back in 1974. So here's your first defensive weather forecast through the rest of the afternoon out there. Cloudy skies to start the day, but those skies are starting to clear out now as that cold front moves through. We should go partly to mostly sunny skies through the rest of the afternoon, and the air quality will slowly begin to improve as the smoke pushes off to our east. Highs today will range from the lower to mid 70s, and I'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, we'll see you then. As WNY News Now continues, police have apprehended the suspect in a series of Long Island killings. That's latest next. And later, the FDA has approved a new medication for infants with a respiratory illness. Stay with us as WNY News Now will be right back.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvanna Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
A top investigator in a series of Long Island serial killings says more victims could be out there. Now, he called Rex Heuermann a demon and says anything is possible in this investigation. Police arrested him on Thursday and charged him with murdering 3 women over a decade ago. Now, he is also the prime suspect in a 4th murder. Now, Brian Gingras has the latest.
More than a decade after serial killings cast fear over Gilgo Beach, Long Island, police now say they have their suspect.
Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families.
Prosecutors charging 59-year-old Rex Heuermann in connection to the case known as the Gilgo 4. Prosecutors say Heuermann murdered 3 of the women and is a prime suspect in the 4th. In December 2010, the bodies of the 4 young sex workers were found tied up, wrapped in camouflaged burlap, and discovered within days of each other.
He intended to commit these crimes.
For years, prosecutors say Heuermann was leading a double life.
Rex Heuermann, I'm an architect, I'm an architectural consultant, I'm a troubleshooter, born and raised on Long Island.
At his Massapequa Park home, just about 15 miles from the scene of the crimes, life appeared normal for the husband and father of 2. But just last year, a task force formed to investigate the department's long dormant cases, and they began to zero in on Heuermann.
There was a very delicate balance between the needs for public safety and making the arrest. And that challenge, obviously, it came to a climax on Thursday afternoon.
Investigators say a crucial break came in January when they were surveilling him at his Manhattan office. They say he was eating a pizza and discarded it in a public trash can. DNA evidence from the pizza crust matched hairs from a burlap sack one of the bodies were wrapped in. Authorities say they had been trying to match his DNA to other sources without success.
We had gotten one abandonment sample previously, but the DNA profile was partial.
Investigators say Heuermann bought burner phones and used fake email accounts to scour the internet for details about the investigation, to search for sex workers and pornography, and even to make taunting calls to the families of victims.
I can't begin to imagine the pain that these families have had to endure over the last decade.
Heuermann's attorney says his client pleaded not guilty to the charges.
The only thing I can tell you that he did say, as he was in tears, was, "I didn't do this."
Now investigators say they are still combing through details coming in on tip lines. Meanwhile, the suspect's wife and children are cooperating with police. While an Air National Guardsman accused of leaking highly classified military documents has asked a judge to be let out of jail as he awaits trial. Now the 21-year-old has been in custody since his arrest in April, while he awaits trial for the charges under the Espionage Act. Now his lawyers argued that he is charged with the same federal counts as former President Trump, yet Trump's release has not been opposed by prosecutors. The Air National Guardsman has pleaded not guilty to several federal charges, including willful retention and transmission of classified information released to the national defense. Investigators allege him of shared top secret documents on the social media platform Discord. In other news, we have some good news for parents with infants hoping to steer clear of RSV this winter. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration just approved an antibody to protect newborns from respiratory viruses. NIR-SEVIMAV is not a vaccine, it's a ready-made antibody that can bind to the virus and block it from infecting healthy cells. It's given a single injection before RSV season, which usually peaks in fall and winter months. Infants up to 24 months of age who remain vulnerable through their second RSV season can get a second injection. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices for the CDC will vote on the approval next month. If the healthy agency signs off, the medication will become the second antibody available to protect young children against the virus, which is the leading cause of hospitalization in infants in every U.S. year. Well, we got a question for you. Who wants to be a billionaire? Well, no one matched all of the numbers in Monday night's Powerball drawing, so Wednesday's jackpot is estimated to be $1 billion. Or if you'd rather get a lump sum of cash payment, it's about $518 million. This is only the 7th time in U.S. history that a lottery jackpot has reached at least $1 billion. Your chance of winning the jackpot is 1 in 292 million, according to the Powerball website. Now, while the odds are not in your favor, you can't win if you don't play. The largest Powerball prize was $2 billion, won by a California man last November. Monday's winning numbers were 17, 8, 9, 41, 5, and red Powerball 21. While coming up, we hear from the Pentagon, where private emails have been leaked for over 10 years. And later, what those in Russia are saying after an attack on a crucial bridge. But first, we return with a look at our full weather forecast.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macromites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
WNY News Now is covering stories that matter to you.
15-year-old Yadiel Diaz was subject to a public humiliation stunt by a fellow student in an act of violence and bullying. Now Yadiel's mother, Raquel, has had enough.
Officials are trying to work with the county's homeless coalition to help support the homeless population locally. There are also plans in the works to build 2 new shelters.
WNY News Now, where coverage comes first. Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
Fast, accurate, and every day. First Defense weather.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Currently in downtown Jamestown, partly sunny skies downtown, but we still have a little bit of haze out there from some lingering wildfire smoke. Current temperature at Jamestown Airport, 71 degrees with a southwest wind of 9 miles per hour, and the dew point is currently at 59. While we don't have any severe weather to deal with today, that will be off portion across central and eastern New York, but the NOAA Storm Prediction Center is highlighting portions of Chautauqua County as well as Erie County, Pennsylvania on Thursday for under a marginal risk. Now another system after a nice day tomorrow. Another system could bring in some showers and thunderstorms Thursday afternoon, and as of right now, a few of those storms could contain strong gusty winds, maybe some large hail and some heavy rain. Here's what's happening across the northeast right now. That low pressure system with its cold front is in the process of moving across the region as we speak. Showers and thunderstorms are starting to fire up ahead of that cold front, but again, we will not have to really deal with any storms across our region, and behind that, high pressure will build in later tonight and into tomorrow, and that's going to provide for a beautiful Wednesday. So let's time it out on future scan through the rest of the afternoon out there. A couple showers and thunderstorms mainly off to the east, and then high pressure builds in, and we should go mainly clear skies by the end of the day, and mainly clear skies through the night tonight. Should be a beautiful day tomorrow. Partly the mostly sunny skies, trying to show maybe a shower tomorrow morning. That's not going to happen. Should have a beautiful day, and the smoke's going to be gone, so we should have clear blue skies, a beautiful day for any outdoor activities, and we stay dry Wednesday night through the early half of Thursday. Early half of Thursday should be mainly dry, and then those showers and thunderstorms will begin to pop up through the afternoon hours. So the Jamestown Tarp Skunks back in action tonight. Their season is almost over, and they're pushing for the playoffs. Should be a beautiful evening for baseball. We'll start the game off around 6:30 with partly sunny skies and temperatures around 74, and we'll drop through the 60s for the rest of the game. For the rest of the night after the game, rest of the night should be mainly clear skies for the rest of the night if it comes up here. Partly to mainly clear skies, a comfortable night for sleeping. Lows tonight will range from the lower 50s across inland locations to the mid to upper 50s, close to 60 near the Lake Erie shoreline with calm winds. And now the next 7 days powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. So a beautiful day tomorrow. Temperatures around 78 degrees. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms, a couple strong ones. Thursday, cold front moves through on Friday with a few more showers. A couple leftover showers on Saturday, but otherwise most of the weekend will be mainly dry with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, and heading into early next week, plenty of sunshine as temperatures warm back up to near average.
All right, Andrew, I know we don't have a lot of time left in the show, but you are a sports expert. What place do the Tarp Skunks have to be to make it into the playoffs?
They are currently in second place, so right now they are in the playoffs. I think the top 4 positions can make it to the playoffs. So they're in good position right now.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. Now for some headlines from across the nation. A Dutch technologist says millions of emails intended for the Pentagon instead went to accounts in Mali over the last decade. Well, the reason? A simple typo. The Pentagon uses email accounts that end in .mil. Now, Mali's country code is very similar, .ml. Now, the person says his company was contacted to manage the West African nation's domain and has seen millions of this simple typo since 2013. He says that he alerted officials to the issue several times. Defense Department is aware of the issue and says it has implemented safeguards to prevent emails from its servers to go to Mali.
There will be a briefing later this week that SASC membership requested on the DoD's policy when it comes to reproductive health. That will be coming later this week, and I believe that's a closed hearing. It's just to give members who had any further questions about our policy to really talk to the experts.
Officials admit they cannot prevent typos coming from other servers. But so far, some sensitive information, like hotel reservations for senior military officials, have been misdirected. But that information has not been used for dubious purposes like cyber attacks. In other news, temperatures across the U.S. continue to soar this week, bringing dangerous conditions to states from Florida to California. More than 20 daily heat records were tied or broken Monday, as millions continue to be under heat alerts today. Mike Valero is in Phoenix, Arizona, which is expected to hit 110 degrees or higher for the 19th day in a row.
It's hot out there. No, really hot.
Feels like you're actually on fire after you're out here for a while.
Over 65 million people across the U.S. are under heat alerts in 14 states Tuesday, spanning from coast to coast. In Phoenix, Arizona, residents have endured 18 consecutive days at 110 degrees or higher. The record for the longest streak is expected to be broken today, and the high temperatures will continue. In Buckeye, the heat is being blamed for the death of a man who was walking to a fire station after his bike got a flat tire over the weekend.
In this case, the temperatures caught up with him.
Dangerously high temperatures being recorded across the region. El Paso, Texas reached 100 degrees for the 32nd straight day, with the National Weather Service tweeting there's, quote, no end in sight. The state's electrical grid is feeling the strain from the record demand, but holding up thanks to additional resources.
So we're seeing energy storage and solar power really playing a much more dramatic role than they were playing even just a couple of short years ago.
Now, keeping cool and staying out of the scorching sun should be the priority.
And it's nearly impossible for you to be outside, especially in an unshaded place right now, and keep up with the amount of fluids that you could drink. Ideally, you'd be in the air conditioner or getting misters on you.
In Phoenix, Arizona, I'm Mike Valerio.
A controversial sculpture called Seagull Cinderella has returned to New Bedford, Massachusetts, with some modifications. She's no longer topless, but as Jody Reed reports, it's still too risky for some people.
The statue, called Seagull Cinderella, once again sits along Route 18 in New Bedford, standing loud and proud for cars and pedestrians that go by. The artist, Donna Dodson, first loaned the sculpture to the city back in 2016, and she meant for the seagull-shaped figure to represent female empowerment, while also playing into the city's rich history on the water.
It's just a simple idea of, what animal or bird would Cinderella be, and thinking of, again, this sort of common seagull. So it's just a seagull-headed, basically, seagull head on a woman's body.
She displayed her work for a while in New Bedford before moving it back to her hometown of Maynard, where she said residents loved the piece.
A lot of people say it makes them smile, makes them laugh.
But some New Bedford residents don't find the sculpture funny. For the second time, a petition has circulated online to have it removed because some residents believe it's too risque, even though more clothes were added this time around.
So this year she has the full, daisy bikini, the full skirt.
Donna says the city has her back and asked her to keep the statue up for the time being. She hopes that those passing by will think of the sculpture's true meaning next time around, which is one of empowerment and philanthropy.
We made another, donation to an organization in our community that serves women who are experiencing breast cancer. And so it really went full circle.
In New Bedford, Jody Reed, NBC 10 News.
Just have one question. Where do you find these stories at?
Gotta find stories to interest people. That's all the time we have for today, everyone. We'll see you next time on WNY News Now.